Good afternoon. I hope everyone's well today. Thank you for watching as always. If you find value in this video, consider liking and subscribing. It does help out the channel a lot. I put a poll out on my channel earlier on today, asking my audience what type of monarchy we should have in this United Kingdom. The poll is as follows. What style of monarchy do you want? Absolute, limited, constitutional, or ceremonial? Now, as you can see from the poll, about half of my subscribers or voters want a constitutional monarchy. Many would argue that we have a constitutional monarchy in the United Kingdom already. This is legally inaccurate and is false, and this is what we're going to discuss in the video. Now, for the sake of arguments, I'm going to not talk about a republic, because a republic would mean we have a President Starmer or a President Blair, and I don't think anybody on this channel would be particularly happy with that. So we're going to gloss over abolishing the monarchy in this particular video. What I want to do is I want to get into the nuance and difference between what people think we've got compared to what we actually want compared to what we have in practice. Alright? So the first thing we need to get into is the legal reality that we have a limited monarchy. Legally, the UK monarch retains significant prerogative powers, appointing the Prime Minister, giving royal assent to legislation, summoning, proroguing and dissolving Parliament, conducting foreign affairs and commanding the armed forces, exercising powers through orders of council or orders in council. These powers exist in law, they are not merely symbolism. They are limited by statute, convention, political reality, but not abolished. In a sense, limited monarchy is the accurate legal description. So we have a limited monarchy in law, but that's not the political reality. The absolute monarch ceased to be a thing around the time Magna Carta was signed and King John signed that under duress, which curtailed the pretty much absolute powers of the monarch. So we're not really going to discuss absolutism in this video either, because it's not really the point. Then we get on to the second point. The constitutional monarchy is contested. Now, most people watching this video who voted will have said they want a constitutional monarchy. This is used loosely, and strictly speaking, it implies the monarch's powers are defined and constrained by constitution. Monarch governs according to constitutional rules. This is not true. We do not have a constitutional monarchy. The UK has no single codified constitution. Many royal powers are constrained by convention rather than law. That's constitutional convention. Conventions are politically binding, not legally enforceable. In theory, the monarch could act against convention and still be acting lawfully, which is a distinction. Not illegally, not unlawfully. They would be completely within the rights to do so. I've made videos previously on my channel saying that the monarch has the power to dismiss the Prime Minister. Legally, that's true. The King can fire Keir Starmer today if he so chose to do so. That is the legal and the legal reality of his power. Then we get on to the next part. In practice, because it's governed by convention, not statute in a codified convention, we have a ceremonial monarchy. In everyday governance, the monarch does not choose policy, does not veto legislation even though legally they can, does not govern independently, acts almost exclusively on ministerial advice. Thus, functionality and functionally, the monarchy operates as ceremonial. Power is exercised by elected officials, and any deviation by the monarch would likely trigger a constitutional crisis. So the legal reality doesn't match what we do in practice, and this is the major bone of contention that I've got, which is what I'm outlining in the video. Then we go on to the next part of the information. So my diagnosis is correct. Legal theory, we are a limited monarchy. Crown and Parliament is sovereign. Practical reality, ceremonial monarch. Mechanism of restraint is a constitutional convention which is not enforceable in law, and the enforcement mechanism is a political catastrophe, so we avoid it. Courts cannot enforce constitutional conventions, monarch cannot rely on them safely, and government can exploit grey zones, i.e. Gina Miller trying to stop Brexit. Let's have a look now. The executive controls Parliament, not Parliament controlling the executive. That is the legal reality that we've got. And then we get into the next part. Why constitutional monarchy is a category error for the UK. The constitutional monarchy would have a written constitution, an enumeration of royal powers explicitly written and written down. There'd be limits, there would be triggers, there would be remedies for those limits if they are breached or not adhered to. No reliance on good chap behaviour because all of our politicians are scumbags and they cannot be trusted. Examples of codified constitutions would be Sweden, Netherlands, Japan, and Spain. However, the Japanese monarchy, the Emperor of Japan, is explicitly ceremonial, and that's written in the constitution that they have in Japan, so that's not really a good argument for what I'm making here. And then we get on to the next bit. This petition to call a general election, which was debated in Parliament this week, reached about 1,059,000 votes. Well short of what the Labour Party achieved in the general election. My remedy would be, for example, if it was written down in a written constitution, if a petition to dissolve Parliament and call a general election ever met the threshold of what the government ruling achieved in a general election, that would trigger a general election. And if the government of the day refused to dissolve Parliament, the King or Queen could unilaterally dissolve the Parliament. This would be an example of how a constitutional monarchy would be different to what we've got now, which is in practice a ceremonial monarchy. This is the distinction I am drawing. Because the royal powers are not legally defined and it relies on people doing what they've always done, which is the monarch waving through things and the government leaning on the monarch to wave through things, it sort of gives the Prime Minister carte blanche, and I really don't like that. I really don't like that at all. It should be clearly defined. So we move on to the next bit now. My example of the petition triggered a general election. My example is constitutionally arrogant if properly constrained. The verified position reaches the number of votes cast for the governing party in the last election. The Parliament is given a period to resolve the matter, a confidence vote election bill. If Parliament or the Prime Minister fails to act, the government refuses an election. No alternative government is viable. The monarch must dissolve Parliament. This is key because what it actually does is it doesn't give the monarch any actual power. What it does is it makes them perform a duty, which is dissolving the national parliament if Parliament will not dissolve itself. This is the sort of safeguarding and political necessity I would argue we need under an authoritarian government like Keir Starmer. This could go further. This could be, we could define it in a constitution for the monarch that, say for example, the stuff that they tried to push through Parliament that wasn't agreed to by the electorate, i.e. it wasn't in the manifesto. Again, you could have it written down that the monarch must intervene. This would be the impetus and this would be the distinction between the ceremonial monarchy that we currently have to a constitutional monarchy, so there was a distinction to be had there. I think this is workable, and this is why, as it stands currently, the monarchy is powerless. Not legally, but because the politicians basically are forcing them into a corner and making them do things that they may not personally agree with, and the country doesn't agree to. The paradox I identified correctly in this video is, in law, we have a limited monarchy. In practice, it's a ceremonial monarchy. We have uncodified powers, and as convention paralysis, i.e. the king has to act in a particular way because they have always acted that way. They have formal authority, they have zero usable authority, nothing to keep the elected in check. This is my issue. This is my great grievance with the monarchy currently. Now, I think personally the monarchy is as much a part of Britain as castles, as the local pub, or a full English or Scottish if you're in Scotland, or a roast dinner. It's just part and parcel of what we currently are. Multiculturalism isn't part and parcel of what we are. The way that we've been governed since Tony Blair in 1997 is the antithesis of what we should be standing for in this United Kingdom. Now, if you find this video instructive and informative, comment below and make me aware. If you think I'm over-egging this, and you think we should abolish the monarchy, you make me aware of that. There are no wrong answers, all opinions are valid, and I'm making this video to make sure you're aware of the legal reality. The monarch has vast powers, they are never used because the politicians won't let them, and the politicians like having that unlimited power. I appreciate your time, you have a good day, and stay classy. I'll see you in the next video.